Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the Cat's Track. Thank you for subscribing, liking, and sharing this with your friends. Today's episode is with our friend Salimah Kassam. Salimah was born in the heart of Vancouver at St. Paul's Hospital. She was shortly thereafter adopted by Ismaili Muslim parents, and when she was 12 years old, they moved to Calgary so that her father could pursue his dream of entrepreneurship, and they called Calgary home ever since. Well, Calgary's certainly the place for entrepreneurship. I'm glad you came, Salimah. Salimah and her husband call themselves political nerds and they watch far too much political commentary. I understand that. They are both very, very close to their families and they support each other in caring for those around them. They love to travel, eat, and buy local and spend time with their friends. Prior to the lockdown, we could regularly find them at local theatrical production, and they continue to try and support local theater companies each day. Thank you. Besides her loved ones, Salimah is passionate about creativity and knowledge. She loves working at the intersection of art and problem solving. Friends, you'll find her full bio attached. Salimah, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me. This is so exciting, and thanks for taking on this opportunity through the pandemic to keep people connected.
Aw, I'm so glad. Well, I'm really glad that you're here. You've been on my list for a long time, so looking forward to hearing what you have to say. Are you ready for the questions we sent you?
Yeah, you bet.
Excellent. Okay, your greatest challenge over the last, well, almost a year now.
I would say, so I started the year anticipating the challenge of change because as an organization, my team was going to be merging with another team throughout this year, and we knew that, and that was coming up. So I was, last Christmas, I was, getting ready and reading about change and how to support a team through change. And of course, little did I know, it would come in very, very good use. And so I think that's been the greatest challenge over this past year has been keeping the team and myself healthy and ready to keep changing and keep evolving and keep being flexible and doing that in a way that also kept us safe and happy and healthy through it all. I think that's definitely been the biggest challenge for me personally and the Sunrise Community Resource Center team. But of course, I have to say and talk to the biggest challenge that I'm grappling with and seeing in our communities, and that is rising poverty. So, that's been a challenge that I've been working on for the past 10, 12 years of my career. And I'm very sad to say that we don't see things change. We haven't seen our rates of poverty in Canada change over the past 40, 50 years. We're not making a dent in the problem. And we're not able to actually support enough people to actually see those rates change. And that's really sad. And it was sad at the start of the year. And now, unfortunately, the problem has multiplied and the complexities have multiplied and the demand on the social service and on the need for things, basic needs like things for food security, housing security, allowing people to be able to relocate when they need to, and managing all of those small crises that come up that you can't manage when you're living paycheck to paycheck. The demand for that has increased. So right now, as a small little community resource center, we've seen our demand increase by 44% for these services, and unfortunately, I don't see it going down. So this is a great challenge, and I hope we get somewhere different by the end of the year on it.
Wow, that's heartbreaking, Salimah. I imagined the number was big. I didn't know it was that big. And I can't imagine where we're going. I don't see the end in sight around this, and the decisions that are being made are certainly not helping.
No, unfortunately not. And the tent has gotten, bigger, right? And so now we're seeing a lot more people who have never even thought that they would need to access social services coming and trying to access social services for the first time. We're seeing people who had savings, who never thought they would have to leave their home, having to leave their home because their savings have been depleted, and you don't get much. You get 1 or 2 months maybe of mortgage relief, right? So it's just not enough to keep people in their homes, and it's heartbreaking.
It is. It's so heartbreaking. You certainly have the heart to be there for people, and I'm delighted. I'm sorry you're having to go through this, and of course them too.
Yeah.
Thank you, Salimah. What about the top 3 things that you want to share with everyone today?
Okay, so the top three things that have really helped me over this past year. The first one was instituting the role of play and fun in our organization as a team. And so this was actually one of my staff members' suggestions way back in April. And what I had done is I had told the team that, okay, we need to start meeting in the morning and in the afternoon. So a morning meeting, let's get our heads together over Zoom, figure out the day, and then afternoon to decompress. And I had thought we would do strategy in the afternoon. But one of my team members said, hey, you know what we need to do in the afternoon for that little half an hour is we need to play. And we need to have fun. I was like, you know what, you're right. And that's, to be honest, Catherine, I'm not really that kind of like team building, let's have another icebreaker kind of a person. I kind of like to get to the action plan.
Yeah.
But I really appreciated the role that it's had this past year. So we meet every day. We have a little bit of time set aside to have some fun, to get to know each other, and to play together. And that's been really important. And I'll just share with your audience, if you're interested in those types of activities and opportunities, Downstage Theatre has launched a small little program where they will actually come into your organization, of course, via Zoom, and play theatrical games with you and improv games and just have some fun and exploration. So just
and sorry, which theater is that?
They're Downstage Theatre.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, they're a local theater company here in Calgary, and Claire, the leader there, is a fantastic facilitator. So she's come into our organization and played some games with us, and the teams have really liked it.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's been great. And then I think the second theme I might talk about is the role of curiosity and asking better questions. So my hope is that that narratives are changing, and that hopefully they'll continue to change over this next year and a bit, and that they'll change towards more compassion and more better questioning, and asking better questions like, hey, wait a minute, who's not at this table that should be? Asking better questions about the role of trust in society, the role of government, the role of political leaders, the role of the social safety net. All of these narratives, I think, have been blown up, and there's an opportunity now to reshape them. And I would ask us as leaders and as people who are thinking about these things to not jump to statements and not jump to the final end goal, but stay in that place of curiosity and asking better questions. When you have an opportunity to speak, when you have an opportunity to say a statement, maybe that's a moment to shift and go, hey, wait a minute, how can I turn this into a question that might open up the dialogue and take us somewhere unexpected? Because I would love it if we would get to somewhere unexpected with all of these shifting narratives.
Love it. That's good.
Yeah. And then the other thing, this was such a great question. Made me have to reflect on the year. It was awesome. And the other thing that I thought has happened this year is that, there's that saying that if you want to go fast, go alone, but if you want to go far, go with a bunch of people.
Yeah.
Well, I think that right now we can go both fast and far together. And I'm personally loving that because I am an action-oriented person, and I like to just go and do and try. And I find that in my world and in the sector that I work in, there's so much more of an appetite for that. So, partnerships are being developed all over the place. It's awesome. Like quick little meetings, and we can get there, and we can go, and we can commit without the 5 pages of governance and stewardship and all of that kind of stuff. It's, the focus has become on, hey, let's solve these problems and do the right thing, and let's do it right now. And I'm loving that space, and I hope that we can keep that attitude of like, hey, wait a minute, we don't have to actually go slow just to go together. We can go fast.
I love it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, those are my
good. Can you give me an example of what, or obviously you're working on many different things. Is there an example of some collaborative efforts that you've had that you can publicly share with everyone?
Absolutely. So one is, I alluded to it, we've been merging as community resource centers, and you'll see more, there will be more public announcements about that later on. And that's been a fantastic partnership where, the demand has grown so much, the workload has grown so much. Our teams have not grown, the money has not grown. And so working together, we all feel a little bit calmer. and we can divide up the work a little, and we can support each other. And so that partnership has been incredible between Bow West Community Resource Center, Sunrise Community Resource Center, and Southeast Community Resource Center. It's been wonderful, and I really appreciate having these two other leaders in my life now that I can lean on and work with, and we can go together. And then, yeah, it's been great. And then there's this really it was maybe a smaller program in the sector called the Basic Needs Fund, but it's an emergency relief fund, and so of course over this past year it's exploded in demand and in need, and so the organizations who work on the Basic Needs Fund and deliver the Basic Needs Fund, it's backboned by United Way, CUPS, 211, Bow West and Sunrise Resource Centers. We've been working together wonderfully over this past, since the pandemic, to just do the best that we can to fundraise together, to get the money out the door. We've loosened up all of the criteria and regulations in terms of accessing the fund. We've tried to make it more accessible and easier to access the fund. All kinds of good things have happened, and we're continuing this collaboration moving forward for committed to working together for at least the next 3 years. So it's quite exciting.
Oh, I'm delighted to hear that. I'm like you, I'm hearing lots of collaborative talk and partnerships starting to form, and I'm delighted that we're getting there. I'm with you. More of that is good.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
And without 10 meetings first,
Right.
Yeah.
Bureaucracy, red tape, cut it.
Exactly.
I'm glad to hear it. Awesome. And what about the final piece with good news, legacy, or opportunity on the horizon?
So as I was saying, I hope that we are able to change narratives, and that's the opportunity that we jump on over the next year and a bit, and that we get to a place where we're having deeper conversations about the role of Canada's social safety net, the need for a guaranteed annual income, and the fact that the more we allow our rates of poverty to stay stagnant, the more we actually are spending on crime, on poor health outcomes, there's all kinds of costs that are just that we're wasting essentially as a society and as a community by not solving this problem and getting there. So I hope that we can change that narrative and we can come to a better understanding of why it is important for our society as a whole and the Canadian government to provide a standard quality of life for every Canadian citizen. I hope that's the legacy that we get to at the end of all of this. And for me personally, and for our resource centers, I believe the legacy that we would like to leave and that we hope that we will get to is that the people that we work with, the community members that we work with, we strive to, we hope that everyone we work with feels that we believe in them. And that they have the tools and the knowledge to do what they need to do, and that we're here to support them. That's sort of our philosophy. That's how we approach our work is let's believe in these folks. And I hope that even though things are getting more complex and it's getting harder and harder to serve people as well as we want to because there's so many people and it's growing and growing. I hope that we can keep that and that everyone that we touch will feel that someone believes in them.
I love your heart.
Oh, it's not just me. I have a wonderful team behind me.
Salimah, how big is your team?
We're 5 people and soon to be about 13 people.
Whoa, that's a huge jump.
As we get to full mergers and stuff.
Wow, amazing. Well done and great leadership, Salimah. Thank you so much for joining us today. Keep up the great work in our community. You are needed, and everyone knows that you love them. So thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Thank you, everyone. That was Salimah Kassam. Check out the great work that they're doing, and more support is needed always, obviously. Reach out to her anytime and find out a way to get involved, donate, do whatever you need to do. But we need your help. Thank you. Thanks for joining us on Cat's Track. We'll see you next time.